to be here.
Thank you for applying the information to your own life and making a difference for yourself, because you're the one that has to do it. We can talk all day long, and if you don't apply the information, it will have no effect. Not that it must, because we do this and share all these ideas with you because it's our passion. None of you have to believe it. We would do it anyway, because our passion is not conditional on whether you do with it what we do with it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have a statement that is connected to 3 questions that I have.
All right.
The first one is when I feel, ever since I know you and I know your teachings, I feel like I communicate with you in different ways.
You communicate with your higher mind using my vibration as a permission slip to make it easier for you to do so.
Oh, great. Thank you. You absolutely anticipated my question, which was when I am in moments that I need an answer or I need clarity for certain situations,
Yes.
and I ask you or I try to connect with
Yes.
you to ask that question, I get an answer which is very
Yes.
much similar to your teachings are.
Exactly. It comes from your higher mind because that's the vibration frequency you operate on to connect with your higher mind. You see, this is what we're doing. We are functioning as a mask, getting you familiar with the vibration of your own higher mind in a specific way, along a specific frequency line. And so when you get used to asking us questions, we are in essence tricking you into getting answers from your own higher mind by thinking that it's us.
That's amazing confirmation, because I was pondering, is it Bashar, is it my higher mind, what it is playing?
Well, now you know.
I know, thank you. And in all this journey, and kind of digging deeper, knowing myself and, applying all the teachings
Yes.
and transforming in a way, the way of perceiving this reality.
Yes.
I feel personally that I am ready to jump or make a change.
You're always making a change. What kind of change are you talking about?
In terms of what I do in my everyday career,
All right, well,
my
what would
work.
you rather be doing?
And I'd love to have a little bit more clarity from you, because I feel myself, I'm so spread in different ideas, and I feel very creative. I feel very passionate about...
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Just answer yes or no as quickly as you can. All right?
Yes.
Do you believe that your passion can support you? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Then is there anything that is making you hesitate to go in that direction?
The hesitation is I have so many, and...
So many what?
desires and passions, and I'm
Can you act equally on all of them?
on at least 2 of them.
If you can act equally on 2 of them and they contain a similar amount of passion, why not flip a coin? Why not? Because I'll tell you how it'll work. You will either reveal to yourself that one might actually be more representative than the other of your passion by flipping the coin and saying, all right, well, heads, I'll do A, tails, I'll do B. And then you flip the coin and it's tails and you go, oh, darn, I wish it had been A. Oh, I wish it had been A. Now you've clarified which one is actually more exciting. Or, if it really doesn't matter, this is where the organizing principle of synchronicity comes in. Because if it doesn't really matter which one you choose, then choose either randomly. It won't matter. Because if that isn't the path of least resistance for you at that moment, synchronicity will take you, pick you up, and turn you around to the other path automatically. Because it's the organizing principle. So if you can't tell the difference, it doesn't matter which way you start, synchronicity will guide you in the proper direction, whether it to be to continue or to turn around and go in the other direction. Synchronicity will be your guide.
Such a fascinating mechanism when you realize how that works. It's fantastic.
This is why we say it's so important to understand how reality works. That's why we remind you that all of these ideas we are sharing with you is not a philosophy. It's actually a description of how existence is structured, of how it actually functions. We are literally giving you an instruction manual for how reality works. Absolutely no different than being given an instruction manual to understand how to operate a piece of machinery. If you follow the instructions in the manual, the machine will operate to your benefit as advertised. If you throw the manual away or ignore the instructions, you might injure yourself, or the machine will not operate in the way that might be to your advantage. So if you understand that acting on your highest passion to the best you can, with no insistence on the outcome, activates all the tools in the kit, and it's a complete kit, leaves nothing out, will completely support you and open and function automatically, and then you remain in a positive state no matter what happens, knowing that it must be there for a positive reason to serve you somehow, you have the entire instruction manual. We can spend hours and days delineating the details of each of the instructions, which is what we've done for 35 of your years, but there are no more instructions in the manual. That's the entire instruction manual. It's that simple. So when you really understand it as an instruction manual, if you really understand it as a literal description of how existence is structured, how nature works, how your reality is built, all you have to do is follow the instructions, and it will work in your advantage as opposed to your disadvantage. Because remember, synchronicity can be positive or negative. Synchronicity never stops. It's not just synchronicity when something you like happens. Because if you are operating from a negative energy, you will get negative synchronicity to reinforce the negative experience. It never stops working. But when you use the instruction manual, it will work to your advantage, not to your disadvantage. Does that make sense?
Makes absolutely sense. And it's so funny how the obvious things, the easy things, are hard to understand sometimes.
That is the paradox of your reality, is that it really is far simpler than you think. Because you've been taught to believe that if it's not a struggle, it's not worthwhile. Yes, of course you will have challenges. Yes, of course you will do things physically and you will work. But also, as you say on your planet, a labor of love is no labor at all. By being in the moment and doing what you love, you will have the driving force. You will have the energy. You will have the passion to face the challenges, to do the work that needs to be done physically. But it will all be fun. That's the point. It will all flow. You will go with your flow. All of you have a current in creation. Don't resist it. Your current knows where you need to go. That's why you say go with the flow. It's your flow. Surrender is not surrendering control. Surrender is surrendering to the control that's already built into you, so that your physical mind doesn't have to work so hard to arrange all the pieces to make this happen and make that happen, or something will be wrong. It's looking at the big picture, and when looking at the big picture and staying in that state and going with the flow, you then see that the energy flows naturally together and all the pieces flow together and click in synchronicity. That's how it works. Yeah. So realize, yes, it is simpler than you think. And anything you experience as overwhelming, frustrating, resistance, or difficult is simply the product of a belief system you've bought into, and it doesn't have to be that way. Does that help?
It does. I have a very last question.
Yes.
In light of living the full potential as a human in this dimension, I have two very dear people in my life. One is a friend of mine that is named Rudy,
yes.
And another one is my dear brother. He lives in Europe, where my family is. My question is, do you have any help, any hint, any advice for each of them?
I just gave it to you.
They are searching.
I just gave it to you. I gave you the instruction manual. What more is there? If they are willing to understand the instruction manual, it will be of great help to them. If they're not, you have to allow them to live their own path. But that's the information that all of you can use to your benefit. There is nothing else. It's that simple. Don't overthink it.
It is.
Does that help?
Aveo.
Thank you, Aveo. For those that don't know, in my ancient language, Aveo loosely translates as thank you, but it actually means in service. Aveo. I am in service to you.
Hi, Bashar.
Anna,
How are
good
you?
day.
Good day. Are you here or are you in Sedona?
I am in my ship above Sedona. What is happening here is a vibrational linkage, you would call a telepathic connection, so that the thoughts that I am having are mirrored and translated by the channel's brain, who has altered his frequency to be something closer to mine, so that we start vibrating together in harmony like tuning forks, and you get a translation of my thoughts through his energy.
Wonderful. Okay, I have something to share. I went to India last December, and while in one of the temples in Khajuraho, I captured a portal.
Yes.
And there's a being that's observing us. I didn't realize I had captured it until I came back. How can I communicate with this being?
Do you remember what that felt like being there?
Yes.
Then you're in that vibration. It may not feel identical to what it felt like then, but remember, here's the trick. Do you understand the principle that you cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of first?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
All right. So if you can remember what that felt like when you were there, doesn't that mean you actually have to already be in that vibratory state in order to even be capable of having the memory?
Absolutely.
That's the trick.
Get it.
If you can remember it, it means you're already in the state.
So being in that state, I can also open up a dialogue
Yes.
with this being
Yes.
not being there and be receptive to communication.
You can ask your higher mind to help facilitate the connection if that helps you,
Okay.
but that's all it takes. I'm in the state because I'm remembering what it felt like to be in the state, so I'm in the state. I am allowing my higher mind to help facilitate anything I may need to allow my physical mind to be a better receiver of having this connection and communication with that entity that I perceived in that particular portal. Done! Then see what happens.
Thank you.
Simple as that. It can be as simple as that. Now, if you want to augment it with your own belief system, your own imagination, create a new permission slip for yourself to do so, then do what works for you. You can always augment the basic idea that we just shared with you, because it needs to be designed uniquely for you. So if what we said works for you, that's fine. But if you find your imagination altering it, let it. Because it's telling you, your higher mind is telling you, you need a little more of this, maybe a little more of that for you. And that will work best for you, whereas a different alteration might work best for someone else.
It's beautiful.
Yes?
Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Bashar, so you spoke about portals, and you described the energies behind the portals
Yes.
here on the West Coast. Can you tell me a little more about Sedona? I've driven through there numerous times, but what I want to know is, does the energy of what it provides, the ancestral energy, does it affect the person regardless of whether they're aware of that?
You're talking about ancestral energy. So are you referring to the idea of the portal in Santa Fe or
Yeah,
Sedona?
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe.
Yeah.
And so your question with regard to the idea of the ancestral connection is what?
So I'm wondering if the energy that you described is transmitted through the Santa Fe portal, did it affect me even though I wasn't aware that it was even a portal?
Well, yes, of course. You don't have to have a completely conscious realization. If you find yourself winding up there synchronistically, then obviously there is a reason you're there. And of course, you are agreeing to create an effect in your life, whether you're conscious of it or not. But remember, again, these things are created in your energy by your own choosing. So it's not affecting you. You are choosing to match its frequency and affecting yourself just by being there.
Okay.
Even if you're not aware of why you're there or what's going on. In the same way that in these conversations we have with all of you, there is a component of this communication that you hear translated as words, but there are many other levels of communication going on between us right now. And a lot of it has to do with matching frequencies that we're giving off by altering the channel's electromagnetic field so that you can pick up on those vibrations that might be more representative of you being in more alignment with your higher self. You may not know you're doing this, but you are to some degree.
So when we have new understandings, when we do self-introspection, and we have new understandings, and the understanding is that there's positive energy and negative energy. Is it that the positive gets amplified and the negative, and it overwhelms the negative, or does it mean that the negative gets replaced?
The idea of an amplification of positive or negative can still be a magnification of the effect. But we're simply saying that mechanically speaking, positive energy is generally expansive and integrative and connective, whereas negative energy is generally diminishing and disconnective, segregative. Both of those can be magnified because both of them can be mirrored. But when we use the term amplification in terms of expansion, that's generally a positive trait. Does that answer your question, or is there something else you wanted to talk about here?
So if I realize through a new understanding of something, it puts me in a state of being that I feel is more positive.
Yes.
Is it that whatever I had in the way of having that understanding, some sort of negative belief, negative thinking, does that get completely erased and superimposed by the positive?
No. It actually makes you more aware of the negative, because that's the reflective mirror tool in the kit of passion, in the kit of excitement. Anything within you that's out of alignment, the positive energy, the more positive you are, will bring that to your attention more strongly, because the more positive you are, the easier it is to handle and transform the negative awareness. Because remember, as you expand your consciousness, you may experience negativity less, but you actually become more aware of negativity, because positive and negative and neutral exists on every single level of existence.
Okay.
So you become more aware of the probability that negativity is a choice. You simply get to a state where it doesn't make sense to choose it. But you don't invalidate it. You just realize that it's an equal choice you could make, and that you simply choose the positive because that's more in alignment with who you prefer to be. And the negative actually makes that easier, because in many ways it's easier to see the light when it's surrounded by darkness. Yes?
Yes.
So they work together that way.
Okay.
Now, also let us remind all of you that in general, these numbers are arbitrary, but in general, because the universe, the multiverse, creation, existence, is a trinity, not a duality, because there's always a center point, it is actually slightly biased in the direction of the positive, because a neutral center point allows you the freedom to choose, and that's a positive energy. So you could say that existence is actually, again, arbitrary numbers, but you get the point, 51% positive and 49% negative. That's why if you do nothing else but simply let go, the current of creation will generally tug you back in the positive direction. You actually have to fight against the current to continue to have negative experiences. That's called resistance to the flow, because the flow is generally positive. That's the urge, the magnetic pull you all feel to seek and discover and be who you are. It's that current flow toward integration and expansion and awareness. That's what drives you. Yes?
Good.
Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yeah, so let me ask you,
Yes.
for the most part, your message, the message you put out
Yes.
is definitely in the positive.
Yes. It's the instruction manual that allows reality to work to your advantage in a positive way. It's a description of how to stay in that state so that it is in alignment with who you truly are, rather than in misalignment.
So the people that attend here in person, they get affected not only by the message, but also by the energy of being here.
If they choose to match the frequency, yes.
Can you speak a little bit about the people who are out on watching this through Ustream throughout the world, and they're watching it, but they're not here physically. How
It doesn't necessarily always matter, because again, they simply have the opportunity to match the frequency of the concepts that we're sharing with you, because the concepts themselves have frequencies. So while they may not literally physically be being bathed in the bubble of the electromagnetic field that contains that vibration, there are still electromagnetic fields being created as this information is transmitted through your technology to them, because remember, they're not hearing the original. It's translated into electrical impulses and translated back into acoustic ones for them to hear the words. But the electromagnetic impulses are still there and do, at least to some degree, carry the marker of those vibrations. Now, depending upon their relationship in their belief systems to the idea of physical distance, some of them may experience that vibration more and some may experience it less. But that's all based on their idea of what physical distance means. For those that might understand that physical distance is an illusion, they will experience the vibration as if they were here. For those that still have a sense of holding on to the concept of physical distance as something more remote, then they may alter the vibration to also represent the idea that they are in another physical location that's not as immediate as the one that you may be experiencing in our actual presence now. But that depends on the person.
Okay. Is there somewhere in Santa Fe thank you for that. Is there anywhere in Santa Fe that you would recommend some physical landmark that would be ideal to visit?
Yes, the park in the square.
The park in the square.
Yes.
Okay, great.
The center of town.
Okay.
The reason the center of town is there is because of the vortex.
Okay.
Yes?
Great, thank you.